Hey there, buddy. I'm Locum23, and for a while now, I've sat pretty quiet and neutral on an issue that finally, up until now, I wasn't going to talk on, but I thought I would come forward about it, and I think it's time to finally speak up and dive into a rabbit hole that is to reveal everything that there is and be completely and utterly transparent and truthful. So let's talk about Vic Mignogna. For those of you who don't know, let me help apprise you of the situation. Accusations that were unproven, unsubstantiated have been coming out for years about him, but didn't really gain any traction. And during his recent film, which he's a voice actor for Brawley, premiered here in America, did someone finally come forward on Twitter and did it finally gain movement? The person said that they were assaulted multiple times by him, and people had asked a lot of questions. However, as the days and what seems like months in this whole scenario or situation has gone on forward, they said that they've met with him 3 times, that this was an ongoing thing, and whatnot. And it's just a huge, convoluted, complex mess until finally someone came forward. And you know how the internet never forgets. And pretty much they had lied. This whole entire hashtag kick movement has started on a lie. Pretty much the guy has had his career ruined, he's been fired from his job, the whole 9 yards, and there is no going back. The damage has already been done. But literally right here, he didn't assault me. Finally retracting everything. You'd think the truth that set you free, Funimation would apologize to the man, especially after one of their investigations proved non-conclusive and the whole 9 yards. But yeah, Funimation, who has worked with him for many times, many projects, had done at least one official investigation and found that it was inconclusive. And pretty much, you would think it's 2019. He's been doing these anime conventions and cons and the whole 9 yards for years and years and years and years. And you would think someone out there must have a picture or some sort of proof, video, anything. It's not like cell phones were invented just today that had something. And the thing is these cons are recorded. There's cameras all around. There's people holding up camcorders and cell phones, and they've also got cameras in the ceilings and whatnot to not just protect the convention goers and the volunteers and the actors and making sure theft and everything doesn't happen, let alone, the things we have heard of that are proven on camera of in fact happening. You would think they would have something on the guy, right? No, they don't. The only thing Funimation has been willing to say or claim at all is that the reason why they let him go was based on testimonial evidence. But no real evidence at all. Again, no pictures, no video, no nothing, not even voice recordings, nothing whatsoever. Funimation said that to demand proof and give it to the general public would mean exposing the identity of victims. No, it wouldn't, and I'll get to that here in a minute. And they also said to demand proof would mean putting other people in the line of fire on internet harassment, which is true. Man, is it true. But no, actually, you could release, sworn statements or testimonies while removing the victim's name or things like that. Again, I know the corporations do things a little bit different than the court of law, attorneys, and things like that, which, as of recording this, Vic has reached out to a legal team and is pursuing legal action against all this. And we'll get to even more of that here. Why, and especially because he's on some really solid legal grounding. Online harassment, well, it's odd because Vic and any supporters that he has, which is growing substantially by the moment, have been harassed. Threats of physical violence, threats of violence, period, threats of lawsuits, law enforcement, FBI. The list is growing substantially by the moment. And while, yes, you have radical members of any group, political, religion, whatnot, that are going to go out there and they're going to do these things, that, yes, specific people or groups or whatnot can can't control those people. We need to take a step back and realize that for just a moment, that there are going to be these radical people, and then we need to just not even humor them, not even just report it to the law enforcement or whatnot if they're going to be radical with you and they're going to threaten these things. But aside from that, I wouldn't even reply back to them. Be civil, be go higher than them, go better than them, but don't stoop to their levels. Also, I'd like to say that for victim recountings, please, any victims who have been out there, whether it be the situation or any situation, if you feel like you've been victimized, please come forward, say something. You have a massive support group of people who are willing to support you, who I myself, who have been victimized since being a child all the way up until adulthood. I will more than willing be there for you and support you. I myself have not come forward with my story. It's very hard. Again, I know how gut-wrenching it can be. It's like putting your heart and soul, what's left of it, out there on public display for people to come up and beat on or, disrespect or things like that. And it's very hard. But I encourage you, with the massive support system that there is, please come forward. Your story, much like mine, needs to be told. And we're here for you. So, with that being said, I support any and all people, but please be legitimate. There's a lot of people, it feels like social outrage, online outrage right now, where someone picks up a cause and they act like they've been victimized. Like, I don't know, it's like wearing a cloak or a shroud, and suddenly you're taking on that persona and whatnot. For instance, this particular individual who started this movement lied, said they were assaulted multiple times, and then came forward and said they met him multiple times, and then came forward and finally recanted and then said that I wasn't assaulted. You have simply damaged any and everyone who wants to come forward or has come forward. You have damaged the whole entire movement for people who are victimized and want to come forward or whatnot. Look at the Jussie Smollett situation, and people going, well, why would people want to make this up, or why do people do a lot of things? A person Jussie Smollett just faked a hate crime. Not just a hate crime on race, but a hate crime on the gay community. And you're telling me that for whatever reason, why would people do this? Not just did he fake the crime, he faked the original crime, which was the letter. And you're asking me, why would people do this? Why would a person in that power, who's rich, who's famous, who's whatnot, need to do it too? Really sit back and really think about that. Testimonial evidence is hard, and it's hard to deal with, especially with no proof. That's the point of testimonial evidence, or saying, hey, this happened to me. Do you have any proof? Well, no, and people have to take your word on it. If recent events and people, etc., have shown, one being Jussie Smollett, we also need to not suddenly jump up, grab pitchforks, grab the rope, and tie a noose for the person who is being accused, and go and destroy or kill or whatnot. We need to take a step back and kind of wait for all the facts and whatnot to be gathered. We need to not just jump immediately on the bandwagon, and where something may prove to have many holes in the story, or something may be entirely a work of fiction in and of itself, it is entirely fine to support victims who come forward, and you can stand with them and stand, there and be their shield, or stand behind them or stand with them. But we have people who want to go and be a vigilante. Which, speaking of bandwagons, Monica here, who also said that they were someone who felt uncomfortable with Vic, came forward and said that they weren't going to tell their story or anything, but they had felt the same way, and it was about Vic, etc. And that pretty much the "it's innocent until proven guilty" only applies in a court of law, and you got to take a step back for a moment. One, this is a fellow colleague of his. Two, I'm going to show you something here that in a moment that is just less than a year after this statement, and it's something that brazenly tells the whole tale of is this really something, a bandwagon you want to join on, or is this something that you should have brought forward yourself in the position of power you're in, or whatnot? But basically, this mentality that we do have, and I've been saying it for a very long time myself, but a lot of people are starting to get the gist of it, is right now, if someone points a finger at you, you are, without a doubt, without any evidence, without anything whatsoever, just by someone pointing a finger at you and go, I was victimized by this guy or this girl, basically, they are immediately in the court of the world until you get to a court of law. They are immediately guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, what did you think of the character?
I love the character, and that's what makes me sad because it's episode 3.
I know. Can I tell you, I cast you because you're amazing, and I thought you were going to be here the whole time, and I was just as surprised and disappointed as you.
But I will say, I've had so much fun working with you. It's been a blast because
you.
we've never worked together in this capacity,
I know.
which is super, super cool. And I loved her, and so it's sad that she's gone.
Did you see it coming? I mean, what were you thinking?
I mean, I guess in the beginning of the episode when she starts second-guessing herself and starts, you know, kind of questioning everything, and then she starts talking about the drug and what's going on with her system, and so I knew something not good was going to happen. Also, plus it's kind of like with reality TV, when you get a lot of screen time, you know it's not good.
Well, you were absolutely amazing.
Well, thank you,
Thank
and
you,
I loved it, and you're awesome.
I love you. You're awesome. I love you. Hug me away while we look at your amazing character.
That's a bit irony in and of itself, and its finest. So he had stopped by the studio, wanted to, you know, talk to her, whatnot, and clearly, as you can tell, this happened a year ago. She's saying many, many years ago that she had some uncomfortability, whatnot, but if anything, if you look at her Twitter history as well as Funimation's, which, by the way, that clip has been removed from the Funimation website since all of this has gone live, and luckily, the internet never forgets and has access to those. Again, anything and everything you say on the internet is never forgotten, forgiven, whatnot. So with that being said, clearly, you can see she wasn't uncomfortable with him around. She even gave him a hug while he was looking at the screen. So this is a person who had made her feel uncomfortable with hugs or whatnot. We will truly never know because she has never released her story as of yet. It's something that I'm sure is part of the basically Funimation investigation. But so far, we have someone who these two look like they were genuinely having fun. That these two had no distaste, no dislike, whatnot. As a person who again, has been victimized. You don't act that jolly around this person who has victimized you.
I'm so excited. I'm excited. Come here. Give me this. Give me this. Look. Do you have a question for me, sweetheart?
Yes, what can you do to get noticed for music? Like,
I wish I knew.
So pretty much that was a clip of one of the very many fans of Vic having, you know, again, they got a hug from him, a little peck on the cheek, and him being extremely awesome and very sociable. And basically, there are a lot of voice actors. There's a lot of actors and actresses and whatnot that meet with fans, that meet with people at these conventions and whatnot, and they just act like, you know, pals. They act like buddies and whatnot. Imagine right now if you were to accuse Patrick Stewart of the same things Vic is being accused of, because Patrick Stewart is a gentleman who will go up and kiss you on your cheeks or hug you, who will be very nice to you, and Ian McKellen and all these other gentlemen who are very nice, and there are females who do it as well. And we have this huge double standard here where we are trying to plaster Vic against the wall, and I hate to break it to a lot of people out there who are a little famous right now, or may not be famous, or trying to be famous, or are famous. You guys are in the same position as Vic right now, where things from years ago, hugs, pecks on the cheek, and whatnot, I have plenty of pictures in and of itself of people doing that, and should it come back to haunt them now? Maybe that person, myself included, maybe suddenly just felt very uncomfortable, and maybe I'm just having a bad day, or maybe I just didn't like their most recent voice acting or opinion on Twitter or Facebook or whatnot, and should I go out and then ruin their lives? The voice actors themselves, his fellow colleagues, and people from everyday average Joes all the way up to them, have inserted themselves into the situation, and not just inserted themselves in the situation, but drew this great gray line. And these are people who, especially the voice actors and whatnot, who've inserted themselves in this situation, and they're held in high regard. And they've composed themselves horribly. They've done horribly. They said horribly. They've got huge double standards. Not all of them. I'm just, kind of just saying the ones I'm calling to mind, which we'll get to here in a minute. They didn't expect any criticism back, and then all of a sudden they get criticism, and it's up in arms, and then it's threats, and then it's this, and it's that, and it's actually getting just it's getting to the point where it's just horribly convoluted. It's corrupted. It's lost in transition, and the whole reason for any of this and all to begin with, has been lost, and we should have taken a step back, go, wow, this all started on a lie, and this all started on some fictitious stuff, and did they not for a moment think that how this may or may not backdraft on them or whatnot, or did they not care, or did they think they were too big to fail, or whatnot? And just very poor responses on social media, very poor responses on Twitter that got them even into more trouble as it was. Here's yet another issue that we have here by the same person. Pretty much the issue with the stand with Vic is they want evidence, and kickvic has done nothing but fabricate evidence or jump on bandwagons, and you might see a problem with that. Another case of falsities in this whole Vic situation is, here is a picture here, but it was censored on the internet. Someone posing as this girl, saying that they were underage, they were taken advantage of, that the Vic did improper things to her in the whole 9 yards, and the community was saying she was horribly underage at the time and he was making out with her and all these other things, and there were other people posting it and pushing it, and a lot of these voice actors had pushed it and conveyed it as well. Finally, the girl herself who was posing in the picture, whose mom was taking the pictures, finally posted, said that there was consent given from the kiss to her cheek, that they have nothing negative at all towards Vic, that they don't want to cause him any distress or bad press, that they wanted to clear the record, that he is a genuinely nice person who they admire, they looked up to for many years, that in no way has anything to do with basically negativity or any allegations. And seeing how all of it was being misinformation, lied, etc., had distressed her, and she wanted to set the record straight. And I really don't blame her. That's all there is right now around Vic, is complete, utter, miscommunications or, falsities or anything. And is there maybe some real victims under all this? Perhaps. But right now, we have a lot of fake stories coming out. And it, well, like I've complained about and said about, it all it does is lessen the sheer amount of whatnot. All it does is hurt. You know that fan earlier of Vic giving a kiss to one of his fans on the cheek? Pretty much for a very long time, his fans had come to appreciate that and to understand that. And there's plenty of other voice actors out there who are in the field right now who are doing the same. They hug their fans, they kiss their fans on the cheek, whatnot. They're, amazing voice actors who are a lot of fun, and they're human beings, and they try and be as humble and yet humane and whatnot as possible. Or so I thought up until all this came out, which I've seen a lot of viciousness and toxicity and whatnot from a lot of the voice actors with the kickvic standpoint. So with that being said, for a moment I want you to just disregard everything I've said to you. And I want you to think of someone who you really look up to, who you really appreciate. And imagine for a moment that they were right here in front of you, and that they were going to give you a hug, or they gave you one. And let's just say even give you a kiss on the cheek. For a person like me, I have Neil deGrasse Tyson, Patrick Stewart, and plenty of other people who I've looked up to who are role models to me. And if those people were to give me a hug, or Patrick Stewart, a kiss on the cheek, I would be fine with that, because those are people who I know have no sick, twisted, ill intent for what people are trying to convey on someone such as Vic and what they're going for here. And there's always two ways to look at things, isn't there? There's usually the true, authentic way, and then there's the way that people want you to look, or how they warp and twist things. They take things out of context and things like that. I myself, in several videos, have offered to give viewers my hug. If I go to TwitchCon or something like that, and now you've got to sit there and you've got to go, do I really want to? Do I imagine right now, I myself, being a person who is not black, who has voiced black characters, who had crap from that, your racist and whatnot accusations like that. Imagine now if someone said that I gave him a hug, just said, didn't even have to happen. And imagine right now if it went worse and things like that, and I was harassing them and whatnot without evidence, without any evidence whatsoever. Anyone is susceptible to where we are with this. This movement went from being something that was supposed to help victims to something that is being used maliciously and has gone completely unchecked, to the point where we're starting to realize now, and say the Jussie Smollett situation is a perfect prime example of why these situations and these stories and whatnot need to at least be thoroughly looked at, use due diligence, common sense, whatnot, and to collect your own facts, get your facts from everywhere before you make an opinion. It's a sign of intelligence. So in this situation, let's be honest, anyone who has, anyone who is in this situation, myself included, should pretty much have a literal camera on them at all times to record, not just take pictures, record any and all interactions with people whatsoever. And yet, that's only going to help you so much, because people could say, well, while the cameras weren't rolling, and it's gonna be more, at least it helps to narrow things down, and people can be like, you know what, here's from the TwitchCon 2019, you go ahead and you decide, here's the whole entire thing, have a great day. And you just go kind of what Vic has done, been really quiet about this. Been, he's like, maybe I did come off, and maybe, as he stated, he actually released a statement saying, he had given 100 fans a hug. Maybe that 101th person just didn't want a hug, but you get so used to it that no one says anything to you and everything. And he goes, no one politely declines you, and everybody's, emotional and everything, and oh my God, I'm meeting you and whatnot. And they're like, oh my God, a hug. And then all of a sudden it rubs them the wrong way or whatnot, and he's like, maybe I need to seek some help about that. And I don't agree with that, because you were going around and you were being a genuinely heart on your shoulders type of individual, instead of being, one of these people who you have to pay $75 to $200 or more to just get a moment to shake their hands or have an autograph. You were being a genuine individual who was being genuine. I'm sorry, I'm genuine myself, and that's why long before the situation had occurred, I had offered my viewers hugs. So it's not like I'm going up there and going, oh, I get the Tatsuya, and yet, just for clarifications, haven't had any TwitchCons, haven't done anything, haven't hugged anybody just yet. Unless they are consenting and they go, yes. So, it's very harmful, and it can destroy a person completely. We're currently in the culture of things where it's a good change for victims of legitimate crimes, but these fictitious, these fake stories and whatnot that are coming out, it is hurting those that have legitimate issues and whatnot. And it's kind of sad we're even having to have this discussion in and of itself. And now if it is true, And again, there may be legitimate claims somewhere underneath it, or maybe some people have not come out yet and whatnot. If he has truly, sexually assaulted or sexually harassed girls or women or even men or boys for that matter, yes, kick him. But for the movement to falsely do evidence to try and even meet its agenda or meet, hey, we've got evidence and it's proven false and whatnot, I think Funimation needs to take a step back, and what I'm about to show you in here in just a minute will be even more reasons to take a step back, and I think they need to kind of apologize on behalf of how all this was handled, especially on their part, because part of the investigation was in fact tampered with and is in and of itself the real what's the word for it? Collusion. Now, one of the really rotten parts, as I said I was going to get to, is one of the kickvic supporters falsely stated, and yes, falsely, that they got swatted by an I Support Vic supporter. And swatting is pretty much a very dangerous and serious crime. Innocent people have died from the prank or joke, whatever you want to call it, if you even want to call it that. And people who do it can pretty much enjoy prison for a very, very long time. And so the internet, doing what they do best, dug up the truth, and what did they find? So pretty much this individual who said that their house got swatted, and by the way, this was very recently, said that, thanks Vic, your fans are victim blaming. A-hole spent most of the morning fixing my door frame, replacing the door. Police apologized and helped replace the door, which by the way, police will not help replace your door. As a person who has no swatting victims and whatnot, no, the police actually don't replace your door. Yeah, unless you've got a really nice police department, and there's a number of swatting victims who has not had their door replaced. Thank you, though, for playing that. Now, the post on your left, as you can see here, is back in 2016. The images are identical. The door is identical and everything. This was a 2016 SWAT, so this is long before the I Support or I Kick Vic, whatever movement, that pretty much at 3 a.m. the police burst in. So they're telling a half-truth that the police may or may not, in fact, got the door and whatnot. And according to this, the police in their, 2016 encounter, which again, same door and everything, it's beautiful, are saying the police did in fact not replace their door. That would be nearly $420 for a new door. Paying for a door jam, the contractor is making close to $800. I don't plan on shelling out because of someone making a false call. Police came to, do drink coffee and apologize, but apologizing doesn't replace a broken door. So not just is this individual getting sympathy, not just as this individual hoping to get hand-me-outs or whatnot, or who knows if someone started a GoFundMe for traumatization because she's a victim of swatting or whatnot, but the next part's a bloody fucking kicker, isn't it? Wait till this. So pretty much, I want you guys to just have a moment, okay? This person is just... mwah. This person, by the way, is a voice actress who is someone you probably don't know exists. I didn't know it existed either, but apparently they have worked with Funimation. Yes, they have worked with Funimation. That is... And rumors and other things supporting the truth is she also led a big part in the Vic investigation, which caused this hashtag kickvic thing that played off of, or into it. She was a person who played part in the investigation, which kicked him to the curb. So not just is she saying that people have broken into her house, people kicked in the door because of swatting and how lethal that is or whatnot, but also the fact that this particular individual works with Funimation. I don't know how much irony I have to go with. I don't know. So, speaking of which, back to the very girl who started all this. Another post. This is her, by the way, behind the scenes currently. This is her on a post, as you can see here. And pretty much she is one of the very people who, again, is started as false claims, done the social outrage, the whole 9 yards, whatever you want to call it. Basically, falsified reports. Kind of like, oh, I can think of someone named a Smollett right now who did the same thing, who has influenced people's lives, has taken manpower from police, whatnot, and she has recently linked. I highly suggest you read the account of one of the voice actors who took part in Funimation's investigations. Again, that's amazing. Because you have people who are internally within Funimation doing very much what is called collusion and ruining people's lives. You're literally and figuratively ruining people's lives, and this is her. This is her saying, "Hey, by the way, she's still at it, guys. She's still at it." Is anyone gonna wake up for a moment and just go, should we even take part in this anymore? Should we not all just stand on the side of, yes, if there are true victims out there, we support you, but let's wait until the truth fully comes out. Let's have an investigation. Let's see if things can be pieced together or not. And yeah, so this is another post back in February before, again, a lot of this shit really heated up. And, these are comments from people who are his colleagues, who are also random people that his colleagues are listening to, going, his head would be nice, actually, buried about 6 feet underground, presumably with the rest of his body, and I'm not being picky. I want him fired from every project he's on and never to get a job in the industry again. Won't somebody please think of the checks notes man who sexually preys on children? He should suffer more dire consequences than losing his appearances for what his actions against young women and minors, and the way he makes them feel, or he's them feel. No shit, I can't even fake the spelling and reading errors. What his actions against young women and minors. Okay, so I skipped on. Is that not reasonable? To want restitution that weighs as much as his wrongdoings against people's bodies and agencies. Hey, girl, I stand by you. And then Jamie, who, again, is a fellow colleague. Yes, I want his head. I want his balls. I want him to feel an ounce of the pain he's caused others and then choke on it. I want you to take his out of your ears so you can actually hear reality. But, that's just me. And then someone replying, that's really effed up. This man is not even proven guilty, and you're literally lusting after his blood like a wild animal. For shame, Jamie. I love your dub of Panty. She's easily my favorite character, but I'll definitely be watching the sub from now on. Which, hey, by the way, I encourage anyone who right now is just tired of the Funimation actors to please go watch Team 4 Star, or go watch a lot of dubs, or people improving on YouTube, or yes, please watch the subs. A lot of Japanese actors put a lot of hard work into them. I love the Dragon Ball Super, the sub version. I love the voice actors. They're amazing people. And hey, guess what? There's no drama going on. And they are a lovely bunch of individuals who actually do hug their fans, who actually do kiss their fans on the cheeks. No one's made a big deal, because that is a culture in which it does exist. That's not offensive. I didn't even think I'd ever have to be covering something like this in which a hug or a kiss on the cheek is actually sexually assault, harassing, or whatnot. Now, I didn't know that would become a thing, but apparently we have arrived at that. She replies, was interesting that you feel my anger about Vic's actions as wild. One would thinking inappropriately touching and assaulting so many girls and women would be wild. I guess we get assaulted so we can just complain about it, huh? No. You should go forward if you feel like you've been inappropriately touched by a gentleman or woman or anything. And trust me, I've seen some of these anime cons. I've seen some of these cons, period, where people are getting together, voice actors and whatnot, and they're inappropriately touching, and we'll get to that here in just a moment with pictures of some of these voice actors who are doing the double standard. This isn't just random anonymous people. Also, you have to take into account these are voice actors. These are people inside Funimation. This is someone like, who's getting involved. from the internal inside. It's the true definition of collusion. And then, you know, it's people being threatened left and right, people trying to be silencing, and these are people who are also famous voice actors who it's going to hurt me to talk about this here in a minute, but these are people who I really care about, who unfortunately are double standarding. So let's just jump into it. So Christopher Sabat, the voice of Vegeta. Everyone who knows me knows he is my all-time favorite character, and I'm trying really hard to not be biased because I love this man. He is someone incredible, and he's also someone who's married. And I understand that, you know, it's the look, don't touch thing. But, by the way, during what all this is going on, this is comments after the fact. For instance here, yeah, sex is cool, but have you ever opened your heart and mind to the idea that we all are just sparks of infinite source of consciousness that are manifested in the realm to help each other evolve and bring knowledge of this finite incarnation back to source? And he replied with, sex is way easier though, and the picture that he included was, you know, her posing in a Bulma cosplay. Okay? And then with the comment of, Vegeta deserves Bulma at any age, but the world deserves you today. Now, I'm sorry, man. I love you like a brother from a different mother, but, you know, if you're going to sit here and you're going to crucify one man while simultaneously saying, and we'll get to doing here in a minute, the same things that you're crucifying a man for, perhaps you need to take a step back and, you know, while you still have the chance from all the hugs and kisses and whatnot that you're giving, maybe you need to take a step back and say, man, I can lose my job the same very way my buddy Vic just lost it. You know, I get it that Vic isn't someone who works on your projects on an everyday basis and voice acts with you a lot and whatnot, but you have voice acted with him before. You just got done voice acting with him in the whole 9 yards. And if I was to go through the internet's pictures that has been just dumped on the front porch of Twitter and whatnot, showing you hugging and kissing a lot of ladies as well as gentlemen, sir, I would be here all day posting this on YouTube. And also the comments that you have left are very depressing for me. You're discouraging anybody from listening to YouTubers, saying, why are you getting your news from YouTubers? You shouldn't get your news from YouTubers, and things like that. And you have actually discouraged me. Again, I love you, and I'm going to criticize you on this, and I'm going to, hopefully, maybe someone will let you listen to this, maybe watch. I understand you wanted to White Knight. I understand, man. I've been there. But, you know, for just a minute, you know, you have done the exact same things Vic has done. You know, double standards, man. And, you know, what's going to happen if you're a married man, for starters? What's going to happen one day if someone falsely accuses that you slept with them in a hotel room? Or what's going to happen one day if someone says you groped them? Or what's going to happen? You got to think about yourself, man. At any given moment, people can point the finger at you. Think about that. You are someone that is big. But you are not bloody too big to fall. Another person that I really love and respect is the voice of Goku, and the voice of a lot of other characters that I like too. Giving someone a hug. Having fun! You look at that face. It looks just like the face that Vic gives when he's hugging people and he has a blast. And you're meeting fans and you love those fans, don't you? I'm assuming you guys are just as passionate about your fans as I am mine. We are voice actors. But really, man, like, you guys have white knighted, and I understand that. And you guys may yourselves not realize that you yourselves could one day have a finger pointed at you, saying you victimized someone just the same. Just by giving them a hug, just by giving them a kiss on the cheek, just by doing these things. And speaking of people who have crossed the line, or being a double hypocrite. This is Monica posing with 3 girls. One of them is putting their hand on her boob. Really? You talk about double standards. You talk about all these things, but you guys don't realize that you should have stayed out of this, or said, "Hey, I do support, victims, and if they are coming forward, that is right on, and you should." And what I've said today here in this video, that's what you should have done. Right now, we live in a society where an accusation against someone is like being thrown in prison. There is judge, jury, and executioner just within that pointing of a finger and going, "You did this to me." And it carries very hefty things, and it should. Victims coming forward and talking about stories and things like that, people should be held accountable. But people saying that, innocent until proven guilty only stands for a court of law, have you not heard of defamation of character? Which, again, takes me back to the fact that Vic has got a legal team. And I really wouldn't be surprised if it comes out after a lot of you who have zero proof. Zero. And you guys just kept ripping on him and ripping on him and ripping on him on Twitter, and you guys think that your post, hey, by the way, if you think your post's being deleted, which some of you have already started since the tides have turned, and you guys have thought deleting those, they're all there. The internet never forgets, and you can't delete things. Things are cached on Google and Yahoo and search engines all the time. They're up there, and trust me, like I said, the internet never forgets. I really think that everybody involved needs to take a step back. On both sides, right now, even, the Stand With Vic side has got heated, and can you really blame them? But I think both sides need to take a step back, and you need to also stop giving people who have clearly falsified information and clearly stated fictitious stories about what's all going on. I think you guys need to step back and stop giving them even just one more infinitesimal moment of anything. And maybe even block them. Because if they're faking stories and they confess to faking them and they confess to these things, you need to get those people away from you as quickly as humanly possible. And I don't know what else to really tell you. Again, you look at the Jussie Smollett story, and you look at this, and you look at other stories in the past 2 months which have come out to be fictitious about other people, not even just celebrities, other people in everyday lives that have proven. We have a wonderful system now that is proving people who are convicted of rape, who are convicted of things, the DNA and new crime-solving techniques are proving these people are innocent. The finger pointing and the accusations has been around for a very long time. And yes, no wonder people, and here I'm going to dive into it for just a second, no wonder people kind of hate people of white color, because a lot of people who are incarcerated, or so it seems, people being accused of rape, and then people coming forward because it sat on their conscience for 20, 30 years, and finally saying, it wasn't him, and I'd like to confess, or I'd like to talk about it, and then DNA and all these other things. It's amazing. It's really amazing how the finger pointing and the accusations, and without any real evidence, just based off testimonials and whatnot, has been a lock and key. He cuff him up and send him away or her away for a very long time. And that's something we really, as a society, we say we're civilized, we say we respect one another, which sometimes I wonder, after everything I've shown here and everything, I really, it depressed me to sit here and see, someone who genuinely watching video after video after video, clip a clip a clip. I went through all this, and I delved through this, and went through not just, not on my own and going, I went through, like, everything possible. And I can't find one piece of evidence. And a lot of the stories that have came out are things that are kind of fictitious. Yes, did the guy cross his line? Have a lot of you crossed your lines and hugging people and kissing people on the cheeks? There are literal cosplayers and voice actors and whatnot who have either let them or have done it, squeezing people's asses and putting their heads in their breasts and things like that on these floors and in front of cameras and everything, and it's on the fucking internet. And are you serious right now? You guys are gonna actually sit here and say that, man, we should have kicked him a long time ago. But you guys have done it? There needs to be a change, and right now, I've gave you criticism, I've gave you critiqued, I've complained, and now I'm going to give you a solid solution. You have all these cons and everything where you have people allowing themselves to be interpreted as the characters they love, cosplaying and whatnot, and then you also have sex sells, people who actually pose in specific costumes that are hired to pose for specific animes and whatnot. And the anime culture, especially the Japanese culture of basically plot, as the anime people have called it anymore, with big boobs or big butt or big thighs or things like that, and they buy girls to pose in those things, and I understand that. But the problem is you're letting people get a little too frisky or a little too friendly, and it should be a hands-off and only pictures kind of approach. They're there to sell, say, the cover of things, or like the picture of bullmane, rabbit ears, or things like that. They're dressed specifically for that, and that is not my cup of tea. If I want something really sexy to me, well, people know my taste, and I'm more of an intellectual man, but I do like taste. I do. I have to say, yes, bullmane, that really did look mwah. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to go, oh la la, like the verge and essential stereotype that people have presented for the whole entire world. And the thing about this, we have an outrage culture right now that is hugely brewing, that is not being stemmed. It's overflowing the pot, it's overflowing the stove, it's flowing even out of the oven, it's flowing out of everything right now. That pretty much with the power of a keyboard and the internet, you can destroy a person's life at any given moment, just like that. So for instance, tomorrow, Sean or Chris, if you wake up, or any of you can wake up and have your Twitter full of people hating on you and tons of accusations and tons of people who can, just with a group of friends, I myself have been a victim of it, of people getting together and falsely accusing you just for the hell of it, just to have fun. We have right now hazing things going on at colleges and people's lives being ruined and people being murdered and people committing suicide and all these things, and you would think for a moment that for whatever bloody goddamn reason that you are not that you're immune to it, but you're not. You're not. You're not by the longest shot. These conventions have a lot of things going wrong. The volunteers and everything, there needs to be stricter, things like that. If you want to cosplay or do things like that, you need to make sure there are strict protocols in line for that. If you want to be hands-on, you need to make sure there are strict protocols for that. You need to get, hey, like I suggested at the very middle of this video, is have a camera on you rolling at all times. And if someone consents to a hug or a kiss, or if they want one, and hey, guess what? You now have audio and video recordings. And I know it's a lot to micromanage. I know it's a lot. But think about this. Is your livelihood, is your career, or things like that worth it? Yes. Yes, it is. Much like I'm doing a video right now. Guess what? If something like this is as simple as for me to do, and it's something you could hire someone to do, that just video archive, say, hey man, I got this, I'll do it for you. I got this 6-hour stream today of me sitting here and I was meeting fans and everything. I just want you to archive it and make sure there's a copy of it and it's safe and sound, just in case anything in 20, 30, 40 years happens, or even 12 days from now. I just want you to just organize it and do it for me. There's plenty of people out there looking for a job or willing to do it while they're working into college or whatnot. They'll be more than happy to help you. So, with that being said, this is just, again, it tears me up. It tears me up. I see the smiles and the kisses and the hugs. I have nothing wrong with that. I see those fans genuinely enjoying it. I see those fans who are crying to have just a hug from Vic, or just to have someone go and talk to them. These people strive for that. These people are looking up at them, and you're gods to them. I'm a person who voice acts, and I would love to be in the same position as you and be considered like having people look up at you and go, you really did a really good job on that character and whatnot. And you guys are gods. And plenty of people would love to just meet you, shake your hand, hug you, get a kiss you. I'd like, let alone, have that kind of, just authority. And you guys, when you say something on Twitter, when you say things on social media, when you're saying these things, you have a lot of power. It's through the power of the internet. It's amazing, isn't it? But at the same time, it can destroy. Another thing I'd like to say is, just think, he could have been fired. just the initial accusation and just what some people have said, at Funimation, clearly, some of these other voice actors who just aren't on Dragon Ball Super alone, who are saying that one time they got a hug or one time they got a kiss or maybe a remark. We don't all know. We don't have any testimonials. We just hear it may have happened and it may not have. And clearly already one of the Funimation employees has been found to be a complete fraud, and made everything up, and that's damning to me. That's really damning to me, and it hurts my image of Funimation. It doesn't hurt my image of the voice actors, though. However, your comments on social media has been downright abhorrent and unpleasant, and I've actually ended up unfollowing you or muting some of you for the time being. I hope it all blows over, and I look forward to you. I follow you guys. I love you guys, but to me, up until this, I didn't really like the cosplay community. I thought there were times it crossed a threshold, and there have been complaints against cosplayers, voice actors, whatnot. It's never been to this extent, and I thought that it would be something where, you guys with great power comes great responsibility would be more reserved and be like, yes, I support the victims, and I stand with them, and any investigation or whatnot or anything going forward, hopefully will be handled correctly and rightly. And that should have been it. You would have been hey, look at that. The eye, beautiful in the eyes of us plebs. And wonderfully and respectably done and well written. And that's just saddening to me. He could he could have already been fired and his career ruined and everything and left it alone. But now you have people who are willing to fabricate and falsify evidence and everything, and it just goes well beyond a line now. And then it's continually everyone's feeding into it, everyone's eating it, and then also at the same time you have people who are doing what I'm doing, who are going and they're digging through the internet and seeing that all the evidence is fake. There's no evidence. Again, I will fully support any victims whatsoever, but don't fake evidence. I will more than back you, but do not fake evidence. Do not falsify. It's wrong. So, into the story, Vic's already got a legal team. I don't blame him. If even 1% of the things that has been shown here today, let alone posted online by Funimation employees and whatnot, and especially that one issue with the swatting and the lying and the fabricating and everything. If any of that goes in front of a court of law because of defamation of character and character assassination and whatnot, people will be found guilty regardless right now with the evidence right now. You can go out and you can say, this happened to me, and there really isn't anything that can happen to you. But when you start falsifying information and when you start playing into it and everything, you're just as culpable as the person who created the false story in the first place. People keep also trying to prove their points on Vic while falsifying all this, and it's dumb. It's stupid. Again, take a step back. Take a deep breath. Like I said, deleting your Twitters and whatnot and everything, and deleting your posts and whatnot at this point, it's kind of stupid. Also, why? I saw several of you asking, why would people falsify this? How many cases in court that have been proven wrong to be overturned? How many actual celebrities? Jussie Smollett right now, perfect example. How many people right now are faking things to get attention? How many people have wore that depression badge and they say, I was depressed for 2 months and I cured it? You don't get depressed for 2 months and you cure it. You can't cure depression. Depression's like autism. It will never go away. It is not something to be cured. It is something to be supported. It is something to be taken care of. It is something to be understood and to be lessened. But you can never truly cure it. And these people who, go out and, woe is me, today was horrible, and they play this up. They want to wear the badge. It's been a thing that a lot of us who are awake, who have a common sense, and who have a lot of these things can see through. And a lot of us just sit back and we're like, okay, I'm not going to really touch it. But when you've got a situation like this that clearly can destroy your life, my life, anyone's life, placating on falsities, you have an issue here that really needs to be addressed. And also the fact that, hitting people, I'm a YouTuber. I cover games, shit. I stay out of this. I stay out of religion and politics and all this shit. And yes, I have an opinion every once in a while. I'll lessen it and I'll say, you know what? Vote with your mind, your heart. Vote for what's better for everybody. I don't care whether it's Republican, Democrat, liberal, or a toad on a log. I don't care. Vote for what's better for everybody. Make America smart again, not dumb. Make we are America. We are great. We don't need to be made great again. We are perfect the way we are. We need to improve upon ourselves. We need black and white to stand together, not divided. We need everybody to stand together. And, this is one of those issues that's hugely heavily dividing because people are placating too much into, again, the falsities and allowing things to run rampant in this social outrage culture that we have. And it just really sucks. And again, look at Jesse Smollett, who faked things not just by himself, but with two other people, who placated, who actually cried on a fucking interview. Great acting, I suppose. I've never watched him. I never watched Empire. I guess that's a good thing. Hopefully they can his ass for this. With that being said, he was an individual who not just tried to get hate from the LGBT community onto other people and get hate, drive that racial divide between black and white. This is a person who, tried to drive a lot of things together. And so my question to you is, when does it stop? So I'm going to end this with, use your heart and the soul, use your brains, use common sense, use common, dignity, morality, things like that. Be more critical thinking of what you hear and see, because in this day and age, if you jump on a bandwagon, while you may have good intentions, you may also end up on the wrong wagon to take, and then you may end up being isolated, desolated, wherever you want to say, out in the middle of nowhere, embarrassed, and get facts, get evidence, and above all, just be better. That's all I can really say. So, I'm not going to use my outro. I don't feel like it's a good place for that. I believe I covered everything that I wanted to cover. I wanted to show the hypocrisy on both sides, but really the wrongs that are happening from one particular side, that the other side, while they're doing, again, you have the radical movements. I've talked about that, the radical members. You're going to have these things, but unfortunately, the more it's hyped up in the bandwagon, and then you've got these falsities, and one side is just asking for evidence, and one side is acting like children. You guys are, I'm looking at you. Some of you who I've mentioned are bigger than this. Be the people that I know you to be. Professional, awesome individuals. We're in the same field together. We do the voicing and the whole 9 yards.
So join me, Senpai. Just join me.
In going forward and not doing stupid shit. Please? Please. So with that being said, thank you all, and be better. Peace.